This webinar is hosted by the Canadian Institute for Cybersecurity at the University of New Brunswick. Our presenter today is Xichen Zhang. He's a research assistant with the Canadian Institute for Cybersecurity. His research interests include deep learning, data mining, natural language processing, and data visualization. Today, his webinar is on fake news detection.
Hello, everyone. My name is Xichen. I'm a research assistant here at Canadian Institute for Cybersecurity. Today, I'm very happy to share with you about my recent work on online fake news detection. So today, the topic of my presentation is online fake news characterization, detection, and discussion. This is the outline of my today's presentation. First, I introduce some background. After that, I give the definition of online fake news. And then I will introduce some state-of-the-art fake news detections approach and technologies. After that, I will give the proposed framework of our current project and also the future work. Okay, first let's come to the background part. We know that online social medium is a double-edged sword because on one hand it is low cost, it's easy access and rapid. So it's really advanced the way that people communicate with each other. However, it also enabled some issues. One of the biggest dangerous issue is the fake news. Let's say the low quality news with intentionally false information. So, what is online fake news? Actually, there are two important aspects in this definition. First is the authenticity. Second is the intent. So, fake news are always the false informations, stories, news which are created purposely in order to mislead online users or readers, either for financial, political, or other reasons. There are really negative impact of online fake news. For example, they can break the existing news ecosystems. It can also dominate public's opinions, interests, and decisions. And uh, of course, it can also change the way that people interpret with the real news. And next part, I will talk about the important aspect of fake news. This is the onion-based graph. There are a lot of information in these figures. So let's see here in the middle is the fake news. And then in the first layers is the four different component or aspect of fake news. There are, let's say, first is the creators and spreaders, the target victims, the news content, and then the social context. Let's say for the creators or spreaders, it can be either real human or non-human. For real human, let's say there are a lot of fake news creators, and also for benign users and authors, they can also be the spreader of the fake news. And for the non-human, for example, for the social bots, they are the most commonly used non-human fake news creators. And then for the target victims, it can be depending on the platforms. For example, the target victims are from the online social medium or they are from the online mainstream. And also, they can have different roles. Let's say most of the time, the younger people and the senior people are the main targets for the news. But of course, there are other type of target victims. For example, in the USA 2016 election campaign, all the voters can also be the target of the fake news. And the next part is the fake news content. It can it contains both physical and non-physical content. For the physical part, it has the title of the news, the body of the news, or some other multi-mediums of the news. And then for the non-physical content, for example, what is the purpose of the news, what is the sentiment level of the news, and what is the topic of the news. And next part is the social context. Actually, social context just indicates how the news was distributed on the internet. For example, it can be distributed through the social medium or the mainstream. And also for the distribution pattern, let's say the first part is the community of the users, which indicates that what users and online customers are involved with this fake news. And also the broadcast patterns just record what is the distribution pattern of the news. So next part, let's talk about the fake news detection. Uh, from a high level speaking, there are mainly two categories of the fake news detection techniques. First is it's the online fact-checking web page or resources. The second part is the let's say uh, the current research-based studies. For the online fact-checking resources, it can be either manually detection or automatic detection. And for the research-based studies, there are also three different subcategories. First is the component-based, which contains the user and the creator analysis, the news content analysis, and the social context analysis. Also, from the perspective of training, it can be supervised, semi-supervised, and unsupervised. From the perspective of implementation, it can be either offline or online. Actually, based on my knowledge, most of the online fact-checking resources are depending on manual detection. And for the research-based studies, they are mainly focused on, let's say, the fake news content with some supervised learning model, and they do some offline studies. So, from our opinion, that let's say the automatic detection, the user creator analysis, some unsupervised learning, and real-time analysis should be more focused in the future work. Okay, next part, let's go to the online fact-checking resources. Actually, they are commonly performed by mainstream medium or organizations. Uh, there are some popular fact-checking web pages such as FactChecker, PolitiFact, and Snopes. Actually, among these fact-checking resources, they use various evaluation metrics. This example is called Truth-O-Meter from PolitiFact. You can see that in their systems, they have 5 different levels to label the news. Whether the news is true, is mostly true, mostly false, false, and pants on fire. However, the issue of this type of system is that most of them are depending on manually detection. So this some can cause some problems such as the time latency issue, or we need to pay a lot of time and energy to detect even a single piece of news. So let's come to the research-based studies. First is the component-based analysis. Let's say we have three major components: the user and creator, the news content, and the social context. So here is a very simple example from Facebook that we can see that what are these three different components. Let's say this person they published a news through Facebook at this time. So from this perspective, uh, let's say this is the component, which means that it is the user who shares this information. And also here we can say this is the author of this news, and then this is the source of this news. So this part can also be considered as the creators or authors. And for B, for news content, let's see the big box here. It contains the major body of the news. It has the body, title, body, and some multimedia if it is available. So it can all be considered as the news content. And finally, let's say here record the time which this post was shared, and also uh, here record some interactions with other users, and here is some, let's say, feelings of other users, and if any other users have some like, comment, and shares, and then this part can all be considered as social context. So for for the analysis, it can be of course for the user and creator analysis, for news content analysis, and for social context analysis. For user and creator analysis, we can have some user profiling analysis, some posting behavior analysis, some credibility analysis, and based on the history of this user, we can have some, let's say, overall or average sentiment score of these users. So through here, it can help us to tell that if a user is a bot or not. If it is a bot, if it is not a bot, if it is suspicious user or authors, or if it is the fake news creators. For the news content analysis, it can have the linguistic-based analysis, knowledge-based analysis, and style-based analysis. And also for social context analysis, we can build a user network to tell how and what the user interactive with this news. And also we can build some distribution analysis to see how the news was distributed based on a timeline. Okay, next part is let's talk about the training-based models. Because for training-based models, it can have both supervised and unsupervised. So here comes to the features. We need some features to represent the news in order to build such a model. So the features can also be based on the component. Let's say we can have the user-based features, we can have the content-based features, we can have also the context-based features. For user-based features, we can have some user profiling information such as the account name, the geolocation, the age, and so on. And also for the user credibility information such as if the user is from Twitter, how many friends or followers uh, does this user have? And also for the user behavior-based features, what is the number of interactions or activities of this user? And then for the content-based features, it can be linguistic and semantic-based features. Some very popular features such as n-gram, back of word. Also, we can have some style-based features such as, let's say for author, how many times suspicious token has been found in his articles, how many strong feeling sentiment word has been found. And also we can have some visual-based features. Actually, it's talking about the image and videos that are contained in the news. Let's see for the next part is the context-based features. We can build some network to indicate that the in degree and the after degree of the network can either based on users or based on the news. We can have some impact analysis and temporal-based analysis. Impact-based analysis can tell us, let's say, how intensive the user has activities. And temporal-based features can tell us how frequently the user published certain news. And next, let's talk about the implementation-based analysis. It contains both the offline and the real-time. Actually, a typical offline fake news classification systems may look like this. First, we have some data collection part. Mm, it's the ideal condition is that the data set has labels. And after that, maybe we will do some feature extraction part. Uh, Also, we need to do some feature analysis part to see can we find the most influential features. And after that, with the selected features, we can build both machine learning or deep learning models for fake news classification. Next is the online fake news monitoring systems. This part is a little bit comprehensive and complicated. Let's say for the online fake news system, fake news detection systems, first the data should be collected online or real time. And after that, we can have some data pre-processing process. Let's say do some data filtering and data indexing. And after that, we also need to do some feature extraction. And then after that, because most of the data from the real time or from the real world are unlabeled, so we can either go to the supervised part and the unsupervised part. And finally, it's better that we can have a real-time monitoring systems which can combine the information and show some interactive visualization to the customers of our system. Actually, we proposed a framework which contain both offline systems and online systems. And we will do offline first because it can give us the first ideas or opinions of how the problem is. And also, let's say in the offline systems, the feature extraction and feature analysis part are beneficial to the online systems. And also the model built in the offline systems can be used in the online systems. And this is the overall framework of the proposed systems. So actually, what's more, rather than doing classification or clusterings, we want to dig into more detail about news. So let's come to this onion-based figures again. Actually, we can have more information depending on different aspects. Let's say if we consider about the news creators and spreaders, can we maybe have some bot score or credibility score based on some certain features, which can indicate that how suspicious this user or the creator is. Of course, all for the target users, can we categorize the target depending on different roles? And can we have some victim scores or vulnerability scores to see how likely the users can be affected by the fake news? And then for the news content part, let's say, can we have some topic scores because during certain time period, certain topics are more sensitive. For example, in the US election campaign in 2016, maybe some political topics news are more sensitive and more suspicious. And can we have some sentiment score to indicate that how strongly the author uh, like or dislike something? And then for the social context part, is this news real time? We can have a real time score. What is the potential risk of this news? Let's say how many people has been read this news, how many people comment or forward this news to other people, and something like that. So in doing this, we can have a comprehensive understanding of the news from different perspectives. Okay, next, I will talk about some the proposed framework, and we just have this UI to show you how this framework will be used. Let's say maybe this is the main UI of the systems, and then you can search for some keywords. You can search for topics, search for domains, search for location, and you can have some filters and so on. And then for the main dashboard, we have both user part and Twitter part. Let's say, yeah, if you select the US election and you select the news, and then maybe we focus on the Twitters at this moment, and then we will show you that all the users that has some relation with certain topics, and then all the important informations will be showed here, such as the ID name, the registered date, and so on. And after that, we can have some visualization part. We can have some global view. Maybe here we use some unsupervised learning method to do some clusters of the users to see if there is any after layers of the users. And also we can do some statistic analysis to analyze some important features. And also we can show the distribution pattern of the news. Let's say if here is the user based on timeline, how the people are interactive with this user based on certain news. And finally, for the map part, we can have some map to indicate that the people from different locations and regions and how they interactive with the news. And also we can have another type of the system, such as if we search some keywords, we can show you that what is the most recently political fake news during a certain time window, and of course what is the most recent science fake news and the recent cybersecurity fake news. And this is not enough. Actually, in the future work, we would like to build a fake news detection ecosystems. Here, we propose the four layers: the self-protection layer, the alert layer, the detection layer, and the intervention layer. Now we are mainly focused on the third layer, which is the detection layer. But all the three layers are also very important. Let's say for the first layer, it's the self-protection layer. I think it's important for us to let the online users to know that they may have the possibility to be affected by fake news. So from their own perspective, maybe through some psychological prevention awareness, uh, they can uh, they can tell themselves that, okay, let's say, uh, don't stop at headline. Is there any link of the original source? Is there any unsupported correlations? So by doing this, the users can be the first protection by themselves. Second layer is let's say, is the alert layer. It means that before the fake news became popular, or before it has been read by many people, can we still do something to prevent the news become popular? So let's say we can do some potential fake news prediction and some suspiciousness analysis. In this part, maybe we can focus on during a certain time window, we can focus on, is there any potential topics, potential terms for fake news? Is there any influential comments and replies, something like that? And also we can maybe help the users to build a blacklist to see if there is any suspicious news authors, followers, friends, data source, platforms, and so on. Next, the third layer is the fake news detection layer, and the fourth layer is the intervention layers. And then for the intervention layers, our objective is that after the fake news is happened, after it has bring some bad effect, what can we do? Can we, let's say, remove the malicious account, immunize the user with some truth news, minimize the spread scope, which we can try our best to help to minimize the bad effect of fake news. Okay, this is pretty much everything about my today's presentation. This is some of the important reference I used. And finally, I want to say that 100% of automatic fake news detection is a long way to go, but we hope to make it shorter. Thank you very much.